Hello. So today we're going to be talking about actually making marks on your paper. So the obvious answer is there's a part of your drawing utensil that is supposed to make contact with your paper. It's the nib of a pen, um, of your pen, or it is the tip of your pencil. There we go. Mechanical or otherwise, or it is the smallest hairs on a paintbrush. And those are supposed to be making contact with your tablet, your paper, or your canvas in order to make a mark. So that's like the obvious thing. The thing that's less obvious is how do you make those lines actually look good? Because there's something called line quality. So if we, for instance, take a look at this line and we zoom all the way in, we can see that the line quality is pretty good because it's a nice straight clean line. But if I draw another line next to it, you can see what a line with bad line quality looks, right? So how do we avoid drawing this line and draw this line instead? So it is important to know this before you even bother drawing with anything else because a lot of people are going to be confused or get it wrong. It is extraordinarily common. I think almost every artist gets it wrong. In fact, you'll probably get it wrong even after watching this tutorial. Don't feel bad about it. Literally, haven't met someone who hasn't gotten this wrong at least at some point. Even if you get it right for a while, eventually you'll start doing it wrong, and you'll have to remind yourself to do it right. But basically, a good line has intent, so it goes from one place to another with intent. A good line is usually drawn quickly instead of slowly. Um, a good line has a lot of control behind it. So if you want to draw a line that goes from here to here in a curve, a good line will hit every point along your intended path. A good line will usually have sharp tips. So if we zoom all the way in here, you can see that it's quite a sharp tip. A bad line might have a rounded tip like this, or even on this side, it has a bit of a curve here. But on the other side, you can see it's just as sharp on both ends. And how you make that sharp one is if you have your piece of paper here, your drawing surface, right? Whenever you go to make your mark with your pencil, you're going to essentially do this kind of motion with your pencil. So you're not going to tap it on the paper and then draw your line and then lift it up. You're going to do an arc. And the only part that's going to show up on the paper are the parts that actually touch the paper. So in this case, if you do a drawing arc that looks like this, only this part would touch the paper, so your line would look like this. And you don't want to do that like really fast, like you're attacking the paper and jabbing it with your pencil. It's a very subtle arc. Um, so if you zoomed like all the way in, it would like barely go down, and then it would be a flat line all the way across, and then it would barely go up. Right? It's a very subtle arc. It's not as exaggerated as I've been making it, but you want to do that arc so that way you don't touch the paper, draw, and then lift it, because then you end up with dots on either side of your line. You want to already be in the motion of drawing the line by the time it touches. So like I'm drawing back here, but my pen isn't touching the paper until I get to here. And then I'm also drawing over here, but my pen isn't touching the paper. So I'm doing that little arc. So my hand is already moving in the direction I want to draw before my pencil even touches the paper. And that's important for if you're like drawing sharp triangles or something like that, because you want these sharp tips. If you have uh, round tips, then you get these little balls at the end, which is not usually what you want, right? See the difference? And you want to Again, start drawing back here, but don't touch the page. Touch the page when you get to the dot, and when you get to the other dot, you want to lift the pencil. But as you can see, I have a little ball here because I stopped drawing. You want to draw before and after. So in this one, you can see that it's nice and sharp because I lifted it up, and I was still drawing after this. I just wasn't touching the paper, so it didn't leave the mark, right? The hand motion was still going. In fact, you don't need the dots. You can just draw parallel lines next to each other. And the reason you're doing this is to practice actually making the mark, not to draw perfectly straight, clean lines. For curved lines, you want to do the same thing. And again, you can just draw some parallel lines next to each other, but you want to, in this space and this space, be drawing before and after. And you want to go for accuracy on this dot specifically. You don't care about the other two dots. Just make sure the ends are sharp and make sure the centers of these lines don't connect to each other, right? So like the ends I don't care about. We're just making sure the centers are accurate. So that way we can get a little bit of practice in.